Today we're going to be talking about Speedhut gauges installed into a Datsun 620 pickup. Taking apart these dashes to get to the gauges is relatively simple. This screw right here. Screw right here. There's also going to be one right there in the center. Alright, so there's one right up in here that I had to get a small screwdriver, a stubby screwdriver for. And then I had to take the knob off, which was remarkably simple. All you have to do is take a pair of channel locks and grab this little shaft right here, push the knob in, turn it counterclockwise and pop it off. And the last thing I have to do is take the cigarette lighter out, and this whole bezel should pop right out. So ignore the horrible wiring. I mean, it's better than I've seen on some of them, but then I'm going to have to reach in here and with strong fingers get this out. So I'm holding the front case still right here, and then I'm reaching in with my back fingers and unscrewing the cigarette lighter out. And I can pull this guy completely out. I should be able to just unscrew the back of it right here. So unscrew that off. And should be disconnected completely. Then I took the knob off of this here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take the front fascia off, the front plate off. And this comes off pretty easy. I'm guessing this dash has been off before, but sometimes you have to take like a long flathead scraper, or with this in the middle, you might have to take some needle nose, really fine point needle nose, and get a hold of that. Take that off as well. That should pop right in. And then with any luck, this will just pop right on out. Now, since the radio's been cut, this provides a little bit of difficulty. See, I'm running into right now. This is all off or broken, which happens quite a bit on these old vehicles. As I'm running into that shut off, or this thing here. So we could probably pop this off pretty easily, which I can take this off with some screws down below. Just some screws here, here, one here, and one over here, and pop that top off, which is probably what I'm going to do. So once you get this guy off of here, you can pull it forward. The one thing I will warn you is that you need to go in underneath and disassemble the speedometer cable and the main plug for it. I've already went ahead and done that. And so now we're pretty much ready to just slide her on out the outside here. So looks like we got a couple more little cables that we need to, wires that we need to disassemble, no problem. And then on that side, looks like we got some dash plugs that need to be pulled. There we go. Everything's unplugged. Everything's out. Should just slide on out. And there it is. It's out. My issue with my gauges was, since I've had this truck, I'll get charging lights and brake lights and all that, and then my fuel will read and my temp will read, and then all of a sudden they'll just drop down to nothing. And they'll come back randomly, and it's not even when I hit a bump or anything like that. It's just whenever. And then my speedometer will move and do okay. Seems like good with the speedometer. It's not very accurate. We're going to do a GPS style mile per hour and kind of go from there. The blank plate right there, with some have choices for a tachometer from the factory. Mine's definitely not one of those, so we're going to put one in it and make this, see what kind of RPMs this 4-cylinder is putting out, so that way I know right about when to shift and know kind of what idle time, my idle RPM is and all that. So here we go. Let's see what we can do. As for the back of these units, they're fairly simple. Kind of understand what I had to do to take it out. There's a main harness right here, and that was what I had to pull the plug. Pull that plug, and I just had to wiggle it around because it's a circle plug, so I just wiggled it around until it came off. The speedometer, I was able to get in there. It's a plastic nut over these threads, so they shouldn't really be a big deal to get them off. And then that's, of course, what spins to tell the speedometer how fast you're going. As we're taking them apart, you got a screw right there, a screw right there. You should have 2 more screws down here, right there and right there. So that's pretty easy. That has 3 screws on it right there, and it all comes apart pretty easy. As for these, they just pop out. They're your lights that illuminate the heat and cool and all that. That's where your cigarette lighter came out of and screwed to and tightened, and then of course that's your wipers. So pretty easy. We're going to take these screws out, and we're going to see if these guys come with it. These guys right here, these are the turning signal lights. You can see here, it's a turning signal light, but we're going to see if it comes with it, which I think it does, but we're going to find out here in a second. And just as I expected, it came out pretty easily. Those 4 screws on that side, those 3 screws on that, and boom, we're out. As for these, we're going to do kind of a box opening and show you what they come with. I ordered these, pretty standard, black ring, standard riding, just kind of hot rod riding. So the tachometer comes with some wiring, maybe resistor instructions for resistor for the ECU signal, which I don't think we're going to need because we are carbureted. Comes with the inline fuse, 8-gauge power cable inverter, and for wiring for the lights. So very beautiful packaging, to be honest with you. And the bottom of this is the actual tachometer. So we're going to be getting that out here in a little bit. We're going to start out with the speedometer next. Speedometer is GPS. So there should be no cables or anything that goes with it. An auxiliary hookup, looks like a aux cable. Hook up to a, looks like maybe a GPS sensor. And then so like got power wire hookup, and then everything else in the box looks to be just there's the auxiliary hookup right there, aux cable hookup, and some power wires and stuff like that, probably for lighting and stuff like that. We're gonna find out in the instructions. So the 4 for the water pressure, fuel level, and then oil pressure, and the voltage for the battery. So each one, this one comes the most package in there, kind of quite a bit, but it looks like we got the oil PSI, my fuel level. I'm guessing it's the fuel level right there. Sorry, I'm guessing it's gonna have to be programmed when I put it in full or something like that, but we will see. It gave me a list of different kinds of sensored fuel gauges. It would ohm reading fuel sensor sending units it would do. So it looks like it's got a bunch of wires to run all the way back to the fuel tank. But anyway, next up looks like the temperature. It does say water, oil, or trans temperature. That's where you put it in. We're going to use it for water, or maybe they have some temperature and transmission sensor gauges as well that you can custom, because I know you can custom change the writing and the style of the numbers and all that. And then everything else is wired in with the gauges. So let's see how difficult these are to go in.